when I stand here getting ready to make this next award, this woman that I'm going to make this award, present this award to, she may not have a vote in the House of Congress in the United States, but that certainly doesn't mean that she doesn't have a voice. This woman has been on the front line for years, speaking up and out about HIV and AIDS when so many of those around her in the Congress of the United States didn't want to have the conversation. And when I took myself up there to talk to people, she was one of the first people to open her arms and her door and say, "Come in." And I'm going to walk over there and get this award. I'm the trophy girl, too. This evening, as I stand here, Cheryl Lee Ralph says, "I love you, Congresswoman. I love you for being a humble, wonderful soul, for being a great leader." And a lot of people hide behind their politics, and very few live it with such grace and integrity. And I'm very, very proud and honored to present this award to the Honorable, and I do mean the Honorable, Donna M. Christensen, U.S. Virgin Islands Delegate to Congress, physician, legislator, colleague, friend, in recognition of and gratitude for a decade of support to HIV prevention, treatment, research, and care in the Caribbean. Please give the Honorable Congresswoman from the Virgin Islands a rousing round of applause. I love you and I appreciate you. You're so welcome.
Thank you so much, my sister. And I never cease to be moved by hearing Cheryl Lee Ralph, just like Miss Calypso, she is. Thank you. And it was really an honor for me to have her present an award to me a few years ago in Washington, D.C., and to have her do it this evening on behalf of the 2011 Caribbean HIV Conference is an overwhelming privilege. From this conference and from Cheryl Lee Ralph, it doesn't get better than that. So good evening, everyone. Archbishop Pinder, Prime Minister Ingram, Prime Minister Westcott Williams, Minister Innes, and other ministers of government, co-chairs Gomez, Haley, and Whites-Carver, all of the distinguished guests, my brothers and sisters, you indeed honor me with this award, and I accept it humbly because if it were not for so many of my colleagues, like Maxine Waters, Barbara Lee, Donald Payne, and the first chair of the Health Brain Trust, Louis Stokes, and if it weren't for the many organizations and institutions which inform and guide my work, including many that are here with us this evening, and if it weren't for the inspiration of people who have lived or who are living with AIDS or anyway affected by HIV and AIDS, if it weren't for the dedication of people like Cheryl Lee Ralph, I would not be standing here this evening, especially not standing here with the many outstanding individuals who've already been honored tonight. So I thank you on behalf of all who made it possible for me to receive this recognition, and I, in return, honor all of you for the work that you do every day in research, in advocacy, in care, in policy making, and all of the other areas. I also want to say a special thank you to Jacob Gale for his service and for all of the working with my office to make sure that I was able to get here and join with you and receive this recognition. I want to say a few words about the theme before I do something special. The theme, Strengthening Evidence to Achieve Sustainable Action, has 3 key words: evidence, sustainable, and action. Over the past 30 years or more, we have gathered much evidence, not only on the virus and the new and improved medicines and treatments, but on the psychological, the social, the economic factors that both affect the epidemiology of HIV and AIDS in our region, and then the impact that the disease has had on them in reverse. And as I look at the agenda for this important conference, that evidence, that body of knowledge will be shared, and through the dialogue that ensues will be enhanced. Action. Despite limited resources in terms of funding, in terms of medicines and trained personnel, the Caribbean can look back over these 30 or more years with pride at the significant actions that have been taken. I have often held up PANCAP as a model for the big brother United States. And finally today, under President Barack Obama, we too have a national strategic plan. CARICOM, as well as the other countries outside of it, have long had plans of action and have been systematically implementing and updating them. Through agreements with pharmaceuticals, medication has been made accessible, although there's still too many without treatment. The actions that have been taken have borne fruit in declining epidemics in some countries, and what appears to be a small decline in deaths and new infections in the region. But the Caribbean still remains the second only to sub-Saharan Africa in prevalence. Although I might add that in the United States, if you just look at the African American community, we are at a higher prevalence, I am sure. Here, women make up an increasing percentage of the newly infected, and AIDS continues to be the leading cause of death during what ought to be our most productive years. So clearly, more action is required and ought to be demanded of us. I take some pride in the role that the Congressional Black Caucus, from whom I bring greetings, played in ensuring that the PEPFAR funds were not only increased more than 3-fold, but also that it was extended to the entire Caribbean. It has made a remarkable difference in the capacity of the region to address the challenges posed by HIV. And so with our body of evidence and new resources, our commitment to action must not only continue unabated, but be increased as well as restructured based on the knowledge and the insights that we've accumulated. We must ensure that the gains we have made and will make going forward will be sustainable. Sustainability is the key if we are to reach the UN goal of no deaths from AIDS and no new HIV infections, and the goals that all of us have for a better quality of life. I think we should all be encouraged and hopeful as we see the direction that action is taking in our region to increasingly include the socio and economic determinants of health, to make HIV care a part of a comprehensive set of healthcare services, to focus on training across the breadth and depth of health providers, and to provide better age, lifestyle, and culturally appropriate education through a variety of media. The creation of the Caribbean Public Health Agency has the potential to reinforce and expand the work that's already in progress. But our main barriers are some that need no money and no special technology to overcome, only our will as a people. They remain cultural factors and stigma. But we are a people that love and live life to the fullest. We know how to create wonders out of very little. We are made up of small but Talawa Island nations that dare to become independent against many odds. And all of them, independent and not, are creating their own niche in this hemisphere and beyond. Surely we can put HIV in its place. which is out of our bodies, out of our lives, out of our islands, and out of our region. We're also a competitive people, and if you don't believe it, just go to a cricket match. So let us lead the way to that AIDS-free world. We, your brothers and sisters on the US mainland, need you, and we look forward to welcoming you to Washington for the international conference, where we will join hands, hearts, and minds together, and with our brothers and sisters from around the world, forge a new path forward into a brighter future for all of us. So thank you again for this very special honor, and I will always treasure it. But before I take my seat, it is my pleasure to recognize Linda LeBlanc, Public Liaison and Community Outreach Program Coordinator for the National Institutes of Health, Office of AIDS Research. Would you stand where you are so we can recognize you? I don't see her. Okay, she's back there. While I had the privilege of working with my then chairs, Maxine and Lou Stokes, to begin the Minority AIDS Initiative, and later with Barbara and Donald to authorize HIV support to the Caribbean, it is Ms. LeBlanc who was the visionary who would implement the program and become the guiding force for regional outreach and these conferences. It is Linda who has been the catalyst for the significant Caribbean HIV community educational exchanges initiated by the Office of AIDS Research. With her strong will and resolute spirit, she has spurred NIH HIV community involvement and created a participatory process that gives a voice to grassroots organizations and community groups, enabling them and all of us to identify our issues and concerns, to create forums for discussion, and to search for and find solutions. So Linda, on behalf of the US government, your colleagues, and all HIV stakeholders in the region, thank you for your service to the Caribbean community. Your work will long be remembered, appreciated, and its impact felt. So let's give her another round of appreciative applause. Thank you all, and let's have a very productive conference. The region is depending on us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Bahamas Police Force Band will now perform